If you listen very well, you realize that when we're naming the ions of metals, one thing you realize that even in their ionic form, we'll still maintain their names. For example, we have potassium atom, but then when we have the K plus, we call it potassium ion. So would that be the case for non-metals as well? Unfortunately, that's not the case for non-metals. So for example, if you have oxygen and then you are going to you have the ionic form, yeah, we can say oxygen ion. But then the actual name of the non-metal in ionic form is not just oxygen ion, but then they have a format that they follow if you want to name non-metallic ions. So we are non-metallic, we say, are the basic source of negative ions, right? So they are going to be negative ions. So for these negative ions, they have a format in which they show. So we are going to actually look at the periodic table again. This periodic table. So we are removing the transition metal because we say that the transition metals, they are all metals, but the focus is on the non-metals. So the non-metals, we basically say start from here. Basically starts from here, right? Yeah. So the thing is, in the previous session we talked about metal type 1 and metal type 2, and in metal type 1 we circle this one, some of the elements here, as part of the metal type 1, and I did not circle francium, radium and beryllium, but then when we are naming them, we also consider them as metal type 1s as well. Why so? Beryllium and radium, actually what they do is that in some organometallic form they exhibit a plus one oxidation state instead of two plus two oxidation state as metal type 1. So they kind of show variation a little, but it's rare. It's rare. So that's why moving forward, we are going to consider beryllium and radium as part of metal type 1. Francium was supposed to be circled in that particular session, but then I think when I was circling it, I didn't get to francium. But beryllium and radium, that's the case for them, right? But then for the other ones that we circled yesterday or in the previous session, we are sure that those ones are metal type 1. Beryllium and radium are going to be added because the cases where they show very um, a different oxidation state is very rare. So we actually just ignore them and just consider them as metal type 1. So basically for metal type 1, we are going to consider this element or this one for this element, right? And then going to consider our aluminum, zinc and silver. If you have the full periodic table like we showed in the previous session, aluminum, zinc and silver are the other ones that you need to add. Okay, now enough of that. We have to focusing on the non-metals this time. So for the non-metals, what happens? We said they basically start from here. So this is how to name the non-metals, right? We have to have the base name. The base name. So for example, carbon. We have carbon. The base name of carbon is carb. Carb, right? And then we have fluorine. If you have fluorine, the base name is fluor, right? Oxygen is ox. Oxygen, the base name is ox. So you have to use the chlorine is chlor, right? Now, so for non-metals, when they are in their ionic form, we name them like this: base name plus IDE. So we end them with the IDE. For example, the carbon, for example, if there is carbon ion, we call it, the base name is carb, right? So we're going to carbide, the carbide ion. Oxide, the oxide. So oxygen is going to be oxide. What again? Fluorine is fluoride, ion. So fluoride ion. Bromine is bromide, ion. You can say bromine ion, but then the more this is bromide ion, the bromide ion. So if it's potassium ion, potassium itself is the metal and potassium ion. There's no potide or, yeah, there's nothing like that. Sodium is sodium ion. You don't have sodiide. Wow. and so you died. So yeah. Lithium, litide. No, we don't have for non-metals, right? Non-metals are lithium, potassium, beryllium. If you notice these elements that are metals, they always end with this ion thing. So like lithium, beryllium, sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, all the ion, right? So basically metals. But then if you go to non-metals, yeah, tellurium, selenium is also there. They are all non-metals, but then it's common. The ion is common for the metals, right? But that doesn't mean that you use the ion to detect whether it's a metal or not. No, the position of the periodic table, we did how to differentiate between those ones. Now, so we have fluoride, bromide. Then yeah, so let's do this. So carbon is going to be carbide, nitrogen is going to be nitride, oxygen is going to be oxide, fluorine is going to be fluoride. For the noble gases, we say they don't even form ions because they are highly stable. Again, there's exception for these ones too. If you want to make them become ionic under very high pressure, and then very extreme conditions before they can be ionized, these non-metals, because they are very, very stable, right? Even though they are stable, it's possible. There are exceptions like that. But then we generally just say that they are all stable. So they don't even form ions. They don't easily form ions. Let me put it like that. So yeah, so we non-metals, there is nothing like neonite or heliide. No, we don't have it. Silicon is silicide. This one is a transition metal, right? This is a transition metal. These guys, they are transition metal. So we basically, those the guys in the yellow, this like this, we don't much use them for this formation of ions, formation of non-metal or whatever, because they have properties between metals and non-metals, so you can't easily distinguish. So we don't need this. Phosphide for phosphorus, sulfide, chloride, selenium. I've never seen this ion before. So, but then maybe someone knows it over there, so someone can put it in the comment section for us. Bromine is bromide, iodide, because these are common one. These are the common one, right? These are common. So you have to know the base name for these guys. Yeah, these guys here. Let me clean everything and write it well for the base name. You have to know the ionic name of these non-metals. These ones. The one I'm going to put is in this guy. You know, the selenium is no part. This is what you must know. Their ionic names. You have to know them, right? But the other ones are metals, so metals don't follow that. But you have carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. So carbon is carbide, nitrogen is nitride, oxygen is oxide, fluorine is fluoride, phosphorus is phosphide, sulfur is sulfide, chlorine is chloride, bromine is bromide, iodine is iodide. So know these ones for the non-metals, right? We are going to use them mostly in naming of substances that we'll be having. So I've mentioned an example, sodium chloride. So in the next session, we need to be able to name binary compounds, binary ionic compounds. So binary, two elements that are forming the ions, right? And the ionic compound, we will be able to name them. So we are going to take that exercise in the next session and name some of the substances.